So, like I said, in lesson 4, we talked about purchasing a brand new vehicle. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about purchasing a used vehicle. So we know that purchasing a brand new vehicle is expensive, probably the second biggest expense that we are probably going to do besides the home. So many people choose to buy a used car. Okay, we've purchased used car. So used car can be purchased from a dealership. So even in a dealership, you could buy a used car, or a private seller. A private seller meaning sometimes you can find a car in Kijiji, or some newspaper ads, Auto Trader, those things. So those are private seller, and so you are talking to an actual person who used the car. So if you consult the tax rates, we'll talk about that tax rate table below, you will find that purchasing a used car from a dealership requires payment of both GST and PST. Okay, so if we buy a used car from a dealership, we would have to pay both GST and PST. But a used car from a private seller, we're only charged PST. And we actually don't give the PST to the person. We give a PST or pay the PST when we register the car through AutoPack. So when purchasing privately, be sure to have a written contract. It is also wise to have a qualified mechanic to inspect the vehicle before purchasing, because this is a used vehicle, we don't know what that car went through, so we need to have some kind of an inspection. It's called safety inspection, to see if it is safe to drive that. So the person who sells the car privately does not actually collect the PST. So this is the one I was talking about earlier. The PST amount is paid to the insurance broker when we register the vehicle through AutoPack. Okay, so private, we have to pay the PST. So looking at this one, you have this part already on your orangey sheet. Okay, so just to kind of remind us where that is, that's this part here. Okay, so it tells you GST and PST here. So when you're buying a new car, you have to charge the GST and PST. If we have to buy a used car from a dealership, GST and PST. So it actually states here, so we don't get confused. Now here, buying a used car privately, it says here PST is calculated only on whichever is greater, the book value of what the AutoPack thinks it is, or the purchase price, whichever is greater. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. Safety, for safety inspection, there is no PST, but there's a GST only. So we'll have that information later as an example. We went through this one already. So if we need to do some repairs, we have to charge PST and GST. Lien search, we'll talk about lien search later. No PST and no GST. That's okay. So we're going to be referring to this one during the test. So as a buyer, you're responsible for any unpaid debt. That's the amount of the lien on used vehicle that you buy. That is why it's important to know whether there's an active enforced lien against the vehicle that you are purchasing. So the lien search will tell you. Sometimes, if they use the car to pay for a debt that somebody has, okay, we don't want that We don't want to we want to make sure that we're not buying a vehicle that has a lien on it. Okay, so example 1. So we have to read our question very carefully to see what kind of approach we're going to come to this one. So it says here, Ken used a car dealership in Dauphin to buy a used car. So this person is buying a used car from a dealership. Okay, so they're buying a used car from a dealership. So that means, okay, and it says it has a sticker price of $4,500. Calculate the final cost of the car after taxes. So again, just to kind of remind us, okay, if I'm gonna buy a used car from a dealership, I need to have GST and PST added on to that. So how do we do that? So total amount that is equal to 4,500 times, because it's both taxes, we're just gonna multiply by 1.12. So that's the 12% there. So let's do that. So 4,500 times 1.12. It's gonna cost us 5,040. 5,040. Is that good? So that one's not so bad. That's pretty straightforward. Take a look at the next one. Example number 2. Buying a used car privately. So Jacob finds a used car from a private seller. So used car from a private seller on Kijiji and pays the seller 6,500. So this is the purchase price. 6,500. When Jacob goes to Autopack to insure the car, the agent actually tells him that the book value, what it actually is worth, is 6,850. Okay, so this is what he got it for, 6,500, but it really is worth, book value is 6,850. So kind of go back to what we have in here. What do we do? When we used private, buying a used car privately, we have to pay the PST on the value of the purchase price or the book price, whichever is greater. So looking at this one, the book value is greater, right? So the book value is greater. So it says here, state the amount of money that Jacob will pay the seller. So how much will he pay the person selling the car? Well, the seller will get $6,500. Okay, so the seller doesn't get the PST on this sale. Okay, the seller will only get the asking price. Okay, seller will not get the tax. Okay, letter B, calculate the amount of PST that will be charged by the insurance broker. So how much is a PST? PST is 7%, so 0.07. Okay, now the PST is calculated based on whichever is greater. So the book value is greater, so we're going to use the book value, 6,850. Okay. So there's a PST of 479.50. Okay, so we pay PST to insurance broker. That's where the auto pack is. And PST is calculated on the greater amount. Okay. So the greater amount between the asking price and the book value. Or between purchase price and book value. Okay. So book value is greater, so we're going to use that one. Now, letter C, determine the total amount that Jacob will pay for the car. So total amount. Okay. So the total amount would be $6,500. That's the amount that they paid the person. And then the PST, and that's the amount that went to auto when they register. That's where they pay the PST at the insurance. So 6,500, 6,979.50 is a total. Okay. Is that good? So there's a difference between, so this is the purchase price, and then this one is the PST. Is that good? You okay? Any questions? So far it's okay? Okay, so let's keep going. And yeah, feel free to ask questions if you're not sure. So in order to purchase a used car in Manitoba, the car must have gone under safety inspections, okay? Because we don't know if the car is safe enough to drive, especially if we buy it privately. We don't know what kind of accidents it went through. So often referred to as safety, you might ask if the car has been safetied. This may be paid for by the seller or the buyer. The charge for safety inspection is subject to GST only. Okay, so again, going back to this one, if you're asking what taxes do I need to apply to this one, so safety inspection, only GST, only the GST. So example 3. So Phil wants to buy a used car. He takes it for a safety inspection. It costs him $60 plus tax. See here, it says tax, not taxes. So it's tax. That's just a GST. Determine the final cost of the safety inspection after tax, after the tax is included. So total amount of inspection. So that's going to be 60 times, okay, since it's only GST, it's 5%, right? So we're paying the $60 amount and the 5%. So that's going to be 1.05. Is everybody okay with that one? Yeah. So 100% of the $60 and the 5. The next one. Okay. So this is on page 22. As discussed under the tax rates table, this table right here, the lien search can be run on a used car that you suspect might still have money owing on the car. Although it is uncommon, a relatively inexpensive search can make sure that there's no lien on the car. If you purchase a car with a lien, you become responsible for paying the creditor that has a claim on the car. So if somebody is still money owing on that car and I buy it from someone else, then now it becomes my responsibility to pay that off. So lien search. So you are interested in purchasing a car, used car, okay? Lien is only on used car, but you may be unsure about the seller. You would like to conduct a lien search, and you can visit the property registry webpage. So you can go to this one here to find out that a lien search costs about $14 if you want a paper copy of the report, and $10 electronic copy for the report. So why do you think it's cheaper for an electronic of the report than for a paper copy?
You print it out and mail it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it would be the property search. You're searching. Okay. So we can look at that one later if we have time. So it would be cheaper for an electronic copy because they have printed and give it to you, right? The electronic copy is cheaper because we don't have to get it printed. And given to us. So let's say you opt for an electronic report. Use the tax rates to determine the cost of the lien search. So the lien search, how much would it cost? For a lien search, it says no GST, no PST, and no GST. So if it's $10, it's just $10. Okay, so because no PST and no GST. Page 22. Okay, now, so we got some pieces here, kind of, the example is for everything. Okay, so this is what it goes. Okay, Clarence is going to buy a used car from a coworker. Okay, stop right there. What are we gonna do if we buy a used car from a coworker?
Lien.
Yeah, so we have to probably get a lien check, right? Okay, because you don't know if there's any amount owing for that car. And it's a private, buying a used car from a private seller. Okay? So private seller. He will pay the asking price of $13,200. So this is the price. He wants to perform a lien search of $14 and needs to have the car safetied for $75. And if the book price is $12,000, calculate the total amount that Clarence will have to pay. So if you look at this one here, the car is really actually worth $12,000. And how much did he pay for it? He paid a little bit more, $13,200. So calculate the total amount that Clarence, so everything, how much did he buy? So purchase price of the car would be $13,200. So that's the first expense. First expense is the purchase price of $13,200. Now, because this is a used car from a private seller, we have to do the PST. Okay, but the PST has to be calculated based on whichever is greater. Okay, the asking price or the book value. In this case, the asking price is larger, right? So PST is 7%, so 0.07 times 13,200. Okay, so I gotta calculate that one. So that PST is 13,200, $924. Okay, remember the PST goes to the insurance broker when we register the car. Okay, what else do we have to do? We have to do a lien search. Okay. Lien search again, just to kind of refresh your memory. Oh, lien search has no PST and no GST, so that's just that. Okay, $14. What else? Car safety. Okay, so see how this is like super. So what does it say? Safety of the vehicle, no PST, but there's a GST. So that's going to be $75 times 1.05. 1.05. So $78.75. Okay, what do we have so far? That's it. And then what do we do with this $12,000 book value?
Don't worry about it.
You don't worry about it. Okay, so this one here, the book value or book price, that's just to compare which one is greater between purchase price and book price. So how much is it all together? Total. You got $13,200 to pay for the car. The PST was $924. Lien search, $14. And to safety it is $78.75. For a grand total of $14,000. So $14,216.75. Okay. So that concludes our lesson for today. That's not so bad, right? Okay, but we have our pink sheet here as a guide to see what taxes are applied for certain parts of this calculation. Okay, is that good? Oh, that's pretty good. 25 minutes to do all of the things. That's awesome. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is we have lots of time for us to go through this. Now, you don't have a lot of space for you to do the work in here, so I would suggest that you do this on a separate sheet of paper, so you're showing all of the work, all of the steps, okay? Because on the assignment and on the test and on the exam, those are required. Okay, so it's required to show our work. So yeah, so go ahead and try that, and of course I'm available to help you out with any questions that you have. Okay.